Good hello and good morning. I hope you are well. It's time for another live Onion Skin thing. Today I'm going to be continuing some research on building brushes in TV Paint. I've got a small agenda of things that I want to find out today. Thought I might as well pop it on. You know, grab a sketchbook and do some of your own things while this plays in the background, I suppose. So there's a whole bunch of tools I want to try and figure out how it works. If you're familiar with TV Paint, then your input, advice, and personal practice then of course is appreciated. I'll probably be basing a lot of the things I do off of these brushes here. They all look quite similar in their icons, but what they do is quite versatile. Look at that. We've got quite a few different things going on. And then there's these two at the end, which aren't brushes at all, but different ways of mixing things. The one sort of pushes things, and this sponge one blends it together in a very, very cool way. But I also noticed that there's several among here that invoke tilt controls. Now, I think that's very interesting because tilt controls is something that Wacom pens have pretty much always been able to do. Like, I remember getting a tablet back in 2007, and that showed off having tilt controls, but to this day I've never really had or used anything that fully took advantage of it, at least not in my day-to-day practice. So what's the deal with that? Maybe I can actually start using tilt controls in a useful way now. So like, look at this brush, this is pretty cool. So what's causing that? I'm assuming there is a control down here somewhere. Is it angle, invert, set to random? Invert to random? That can't be right. Let's see what happens if I change it to something else. Wait, no, step. Change it to constant. What does that do? Alright, so it's shifted the way it sort of splays out from the pen, but it is still indeed firing it from the angle that I'm tilting it in. So it's got to be here somewhere. Loop projection. Is that what that is? Oh, that's it. Excellent. Projection. Cool. So let's try that. I want to try that with a different one. So this standard brush here, does that layer? No, it doesn't layer. Okay. So if I turn on projection, does that mean it'll? Huh. Yeah, that works. What about with my favorite brush, fire? That with projection, what does that look like? Ooh. Okay. It's mildly useful. I reckon I'll be able to do some stuff like that. Good morning. Welcome. A fairly relaxed video today, as opposed to the last couple, which was an attempt at a live tutorial. I'm not sure how that went down. There's a few other things I wish to try. In the next couple of days, I really want to do a live read between the frames. Is that something that you would be interested in? Alright, I'll kill that. I want to start building up a blank panel. So here's custom panel. Handy custom brush panel. Custom panel 1. Creation pack trial. What's that? Oh, what? There's a whole lot of brushes I've never seen before. Creation pack trial. So are these foundational textures and things that I can start building things off? I've never seen this before. Oh, this is a perfect thing to focus on for today's topic. Wonderful. Oh, look at that. Oh, the way it swirls around. What's this, like a basic hair, perhaps? I guess so. Oh, I'm going to go through all of these. This is great. It just cycles through every flag. Why not? Well, that's quite nice, the way it curves on corners, but it's quite square as well, isn't it? It's like a 3D one. It's like a texture that's starting to run out of color. I don't know what to make of that. You could probably use it as some kind of foliage, I suppose. I'm supposing these don't have a huge amount of use just on their own, but what's exciting about them is they all feel like foundations of something. You could really take any of these and twist and bend the levers around to create something completely new. Stars. Was this another leaf texture one? Yep. Bubbles. Oh, that's quite nice. Don't know what that is. I guess it's a type of hair, like a single strand of hair. Well, that's nice. Oh, that's very nice. It's like a marble. I noticed that all of these, their colors are preset and built in, which makes sense if it's a stamp thing like the flags. But I still haven't quite mastered how to influence your own colors into something like this. I'll finish playing them all down first. That leaf texture is good. That combined with that would work very well. Yes, do a live read between the frames. Cool. All right, I'll try and do that within a day or so. Don't miss it. I mean, like the next day or two. Yeah, either this time tomorrow or the day after. What's the best way to start animating? To just go for it. If you don't have access to animation software, just do it in the corner of a book and do flipbook stuff. Alright, I'm looking forward to this one. All the colors in that thumbnail. Ooh. Oh, that's excellent. Wait, does it start blue and then turn pink as I go? I wonder what's causing that. Goes to purple and then pretty much stays there. Oh, okay. Looking over here on the left, it looks like it cycles through a spectrum. And looking at it still, it seems to be cycling through the same set of swatches that become the flame brush, the flame deconstruction video that I did a few weeks ago. That is built from the same core as this one. I wondered why those swatches were so specific for a brush that is like nothing to do with that at all. Oh, this one's neat. It only turns colorful at its core, where it crosses over with itself. Its texture is very thin. What's that? Okay, yeah, I had a feeling it would do that. Isn't that cool? It's like this thin powdery stuff. You're like, oh, that's like the spray can in MS Paint, whatever. But the more you go over it, it actually starts to brighten up in its middle. That'll be really nice to add texture to brick walls and things, I think. Give it a bit of depth. It must take so much practice to really get the hang of this thing. There's no way I'm just going to be able to muck around with it for a few mornings and then just get it. It's ridiculous how much you can do. I mean, look at this one. It's like creating reflecting sun. Look, it's actually refracting off the other brushes in the page. Will it light this one? It does. It's a edge sunlight simulator. Look at this. The individual texture, it's like reflecting off of it. That's nuts. How am I going to figure out how all this works so I can build it from nothing? How is anyone supposed to be able to take full advantage of this? Like, demonstrating its power is one thing, but actually making use of it. Goodness me, where do I begin? Do I just start with random textures and build it up? I suppose the most practical thing would be to have an actual project. Animate something from scratch. That's what the Running Onion was meant to be from a couple of weeks ago. But as I keep saying, I need to draw so slowly and precisely in this program, it feels like I can't really get into a proper state of flow. I need to get hold of an older version or a newer computer or something, and then maybe we could start fleshing out an animated project in here and really go to town with all this stuff. But what to do? Open to suggestions, I suppose. Right, gonna pop in an empty frame and see what some of these other panels are. Because custom panel number 1, is that just a blank? Okay, yes, so that's a blank one that I've probably created in the past. Which I think I'm intending today to start filling up with some custom-made brushes. Hey, tutorial recorder! That should be useful. I'm not using it right now though, am I? Correction. Load red pen brush. Okay, I'm guessing this is quite specifically for if... Hey, get out. Like if you're a supervisor or something, you'd be like, that's wrong, fix this. Load and export. Wait, they're not brushes, they're commands. It's the load brush. I knew that. I'm starting to draw anatomy. Do you have any tips? Photos, real life. Life drawing helps. Like going just from images is a lot trickier. There is something about going to an actual class that makes a difference. Keep looking around at those little deconstruction images that people make of this is a hand, this is a mouth. There is a lot to learn in like every little bit. The amount of special brushes in this program astounds me. I know, right? But the thing is, there isn't really that many. That's the thing to remember. There's only this. This is all the brushes, and pretty much all of the custom ones we've looked at, like everything in here, like I'm pretty sure all of them, are all this brush, this Swiss Army knife looking one, the custom brush. They're all built from that. Isn't that nuts? I now have the I can't shade, but I use this as a crutch brush. Pretty self-explanatory. But what is that? What does it look like? I want a brush like that. I just use a paint bucket and fill everything. Not all this crazy nonsense. I thought doing 3 or 4 tone shading frame by frame was, you know, pretty good. That would get me by. But shading frame by frame with textures like all this stuff, that's another level. I used the fire brush for a storyboard before. Okay, cool. Like, I'm not sure like how like. These ones down here, I can't see them being very useful in day-to-day. Like, I see them as their examples. Like, hey, this is what's possible. This is what's plausible. This stuff you would actually use and maybe tweak to make them into little different sets. And this is your foundation. But Creator Pack Trial, that would make me think that rather than always needing to go completely from scratch, there must be an entire community of TVP users out there that all upload their brush palettes, and then you can just completely go to town. But let's start building a custom panel. But I need a theme, something to base it around. Like, do I make a set of like charcoal-looking stuff, something like that? I don't know. Or maybe I should just start with one of these and build it up from there. The good thing about these ones is that different colors are possible. I guess I could go around to purple and be like, okay, there we go. What does it look like with projection turned off? Alright. But what's causing the darker out of tone? That must be something to do with the opacity, perhaps? It's set to pressure at the moment. But if I change it back to constant, no, it's just that. So I'll go back to pressure. Must be, maybe it's the way it alphas. Yes, okay, that makes sense. So if I were to choose one of these other ones, say this one, it's set to smear, and if I change it to alpha now, well, it's not doing that, is it? So like, how do I turn one into the other? Because oh, okay, I guess their texture type is pretty different, but that still doesn't explain why that one has a darker outer edge. I should be able to make them somewhat similar to each other, right? Wait, where's it gone? Okay, that one. So how do I make it not be lighter in the middle? It feels like an opacity thing, but it's not. Is it its blending mode? No, it's just set a color. That's silly. It's not got anything to do with being alpha or smear or anything. Wait, am I? Yes, I've got the right one. Anti-aliasing, size, jitter. It's not jitter, it's not size. It's not angle, it's not step. It's not projection. So what's causing it? I still think it's got something to do with this. Wait, it does say wet profile. What does that mean? I can change this. Bezier curves. Where it's... something to do with its hardness, I think. And if this is... This would make sense, I suppose, if it's light, 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 super dark very suddenly, and then light again. So, theoretically, if I push this all the way up, now there should be a darker inner ring, which there is. Okay. Progress. Mystery solved. So this powdery one, no, I don't want to use the powdery one. I want to use this one. Yeah, this sort of watercolor looking thing. So, oh, I've already forgotten what I did. Wet profile. Okay, so it's set to just do a standard whatevers. But if I give it a similar kind of look to the last one, which was, come on, nah, come on, give me another point. Yeah, there we go. Something like this. Well, that didn't work at all. Change from smear to alpha, maybe that'll help. Yeah, that helped. But it's still not quite doing it. Let's do spline. Maybe I should do polyneural. How do I zoom out? Whoa, okay. Well, it's working, despite how intense it is. But I can't zoom out. It's zooming out on the thing, not... Yeah, and zooming out the actual brush itself, but I can't get to the splines now. It's... not knowing the shortcuts is so frustrating. Alright, let's do that. Okay, that's making a difference. So if that's further down. Ah, there we go, look at that. Wet edge simulator. Okay, so that's done within the wet profile. Whatever that is. Something to do with hardness. Try it with something else. Alright, so a lot of these are pretty similar to each other. So if I do that, doesn't really change a whole lot. I guess I need to push it all the way down. Oh, it just does nothing. I guess smear is a bit bland. Yeah, there we go. So smear is a pretty solid piece. Oops, sorry. Hang on, Skin, sorry to bother you, but would you ever consider doing a rigging tutorial with more than one angle? Yes, that has been on the list for a while. The rigging tutorial is one of my most popular, by quite a long way. But you're right that it is fairly standard. It's a very basic bone base rig. It's not a curve or an envelope rig. I'd love to do a full body envelope tutorial. That's some next level stuff. But building a multi-angle rig is still relatively straightforward. Oh yeah, sneak preview for the next edited video, which is coming up. But I will demonstrate for you very quickly, if you're still here. A little impromptu 1-second tutorial for you. Oh, by the way, self-plug for why to hang around for these streams, because it isn't just me practicing for myself, which is a thing. I am practicing for myself. But one reason why I like to do it live and have an audience here is, well, it's interactive. If you have a suggestion, if you want me to do something or have a request, then just shoot it my way, and often I will just sort of drop everything to show you how to do it. Alright, so here's just a basic example of turnaround rig. I intend to do a proper length tutorial on this, but in the meantime, this should get you by. So pretend this is a character. I'll put eyes on it, just facing this way, just so that you can tell it's a thing. And I'll do the same thing facing the other way, like that. So turnaround rigs are a lot simpler when you start realizing that that is simply multiple different rigs all built from scratch together, all built as one. So once you get the deformer tool, so I'll make a curved deformer on this guy like that, built up from the bottom. With the transform tool now, oh look at that, now I can pick it up and move it. Here's rigs, great. But problem, when I go to the next frame and he's facing this way, but I've got a bone that's not very practical for it, right? So imagine if there's arms that are all being reset and going all the way around, or the character has 5 different angles, goes all the way from facing the front, all the way facing in back. Those bones aren't going to fly every time, so what do? Up here, there's this button here, which is currently grayed out. You need to select the frame first, then it will turn on. It's the 2 notches going into a composite with a plus symbol. If I press that, the structure will vanish. And now I can put in a new deformer set, like this. So now this one's rigged as well, and it's rigged independently of the other one. And when I go back to it, the old structure will reappear. And if I go to a blank area and I select any of the old drawings from the library, see that? It brings its deformers with it. The bones are now built in with that drawing, and they will always appear paired with it, every time. And you can see, as I go back and forth between the two, up here, in this box, Transformation 1 and Transformation 2, it's flicking back and forth between them. They are assigned and linked. Does that answer your question, Lucky Duck, temporarily? I know it's not a fully in-depth how to turn around character rig, but that is the main principle. Utilize that across the entire thing, and that's pretty much all it is, except bigger. To explain just a little bit more deeply as to what's going on under the hood, inside of the deformation drawing group, which has been created inside the node view, there has been created a transformation switch. So normally when you go about doing a curve deformer set, you simply get something that looks like this: offset and curve, which is the beginning and the end, and depending on how many bones you make, this chain just gets longer and longer and longer. When you hit this button for the first time, it groups it together and then creates a secondary group, which also has its own set of curves inside of it. So imagining this is a full body turnaround rig, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 working all the way down, and then you can rename them, front, quarter back, etc. And the transformation switch here is what tells each drawing element to be assigned to each bone set, right? So down here, this list will continue to grow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these numbers here are actually referring to the name in the X sheet. Okay, so this drawing here in drawing view is called drawing number 2. Transformation 2 is assigned to drawing number 2. So quick dirty explanation. I'll have these actually named properly when I do an actual tutorial about it, so it makes sense. It's very rare, if ever, that you need to touch this and this. Pressing this button makes it completely automatic, which is wonderful. but I find it important to understand why it works and how it works, so that you can actually manage it. Simply knowing that it works will get you by 80% of the time, but then when something goes wrong, or you need to do something that's a little bit different to your standard routine, you just die. So why would you know? Okay. So, oh, look at all these comments, Peter. It's exciting. I love getting lots of comments. It means there's people. Do you work in animation, right? Or do you work privately or on my YouTube channel? I do work. I work for a studio full-time, which is why my upload schedule is not very wonderful. I'm actually doing character rigging right now, hence why I got very excited about showing off transformation switches. Hello people, I will need company at the moment. Not that important really. Well, I'll be keeping you company for the next 5 minutes? Yeah. When I do these morning streams, I often put it off at first because it's the very first thing I do in the day. And I feel like I don't have the content or the enthusiasm to do it. But as soon as I get started, I find it very difficult to put down again. It's very addictive because I start getting into a flow and I really like talking to you in the morning. And they end up going for an hour, which I feel is probably too long. And then I end up getting tired and not doing them every day. So I'll try and keep this one a bit shorter. So apologies if you're only just starting to get into the groove. But once it's routine, then you'll know I just kind of jump back on tomorrow and we'll have like 30 minute to 45 minute streams more frequently. Where was I? Wow, look at that. I forgot how cool that was looking. It's like a marble thing. That's exciting. I'm tripping over my own words because I'm back and forth between topics. Maybe I shouldn't be doing mini tutorials, but screw it, it's fun. Okay, Mohammed Al Azari, apologies if I said that wrong. Hey man, can you give just a general idea on the different effects on Toon Boom, please? Don't try them, just name what they do. Yes, I could, but just sort of explaining what they do is, that's a big question. This is the node library. This is what all the effects do. It's a Harmony Premium thing. If you have Essentials, it's just going to be in a list. But the effects in Harmony are very much relative to that of After Effects. You've got very basic tools, but it's how you combine them together that the versatility of it really starts to be seen. So particularly inside of Filter, these here, they'll look like something that you've probably seen in Photoshop or After Effects, but start to combine them and they'll start to do all sorts of insane stuff. So if you've had the program but not really dove into it, I recommend just mucking around in the filter view at first. Plug different drawings into it. You won't see any difference until you turn render mode on. Play with the buttons and you'll start to see different effects taking place. It's relatively straightforward, and it's how you combine them that it starts to get pretty advanced. What I thought this was Toon Boom. No, it's TV Paint. Yeah, it's TV Paint. I was sort of jumping back and forth between both as people ask questions about them, because Toon Boom is something that I can answer questions in very comfortably, whereas TV Paint is something that I've been trying to figure out for nearly a year, but I don't ever get to spend time with it. Seriously, the only time I really get to experiment with it is in sessions with you. That kind of keeps me doing it, which is why I really need to make a project from start to finish with it. But boy, oh boy, time's tight. Should I install this? I'm a pro in Flash and I don't know if I should start with it. Well, Nicola's Art House, it depends what kind of animation you like to do. Are you predominantly a frame-by-frame artist or rig-based, tween-based? What's your general practice? That's important to know when it comes to recommending what kind of software, because they all specialize in different things, you know. Hey Onion, wouldn't it be interesting if you analyzed some video game animation? I've done that before. I've got to read between the frames on comparing different Zelda stuff. And I've got ideas for other video game based read between the frames, but they're low priority. There's other ones that I really want to do before that. If you have a particular suggestion, though, then I'm definitely open to it. I'm always wanting to watch the clips that people suggest. So if you have suggestions for it, don't just be like, oh, do this game or do this film. Try and decide on a particular clip. What bit has animation that really impresses you or you want to know more about or just hear my thoughts on? So what is the sell point of TV Paint over Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop besides maybe the timeline? Well, have you not seen the versatility of the brushes that I've been showing off this morning? Photoshop cannot do this. I don't think any other program can do this. It's nuts. And not to mention the timeline. You can animate with it. And it does have animation-based effects as well. So up here is the effects stack. And this is where you can actually put in motion tweens and things like that. So I might just quickly demonstrate, or I guess just experiment with one. Let's see if I can get a basic motion tween working. I haven't done a video on this yet. Because I'm not confident, I really need to figure it out properly before I do it. But here we go, add effects. There's blur, color distortion, keying, motion, like there's tons of stuff, but it's not node-based like Toon Boom's ones. But it does look more versatile than Flash's. The difference, however, is that they're not layered. It's not symbols, they become baked. So Keyframer is, I believe this is the motion tween editor. So here I should be able to pick something up. There we go. So that's moving my current layer around. So I should be able to put it here. And then I'm guessing if I increase its exposure, go to the end. Is that how it works? Is it just pull it across like that? No, it's not like that. This is why I haven't done a video on it yet. So position, linear tools. Okay, so that number is updating. Oh, okay, well there's a key there, isn't there? So if I press that, there we go. So that's keyframed the beginning, I suppose. Ah, yeah, and the little plus symbol has appeared. So if I, is that a handle? Can I stretch that out? What does plus mean? Well, I'll come out here and press keyframe there and push out like that. There we go. So now you can see a start and an end has come into place. So that is now motion tweening those stupid strokes that I did. Looks like I can add in as many keyframes as I want. And I believe there is easing as well, because at the moment it says position is linear, but then I can make it smooth. But how do I get to a sort of spline? That means I should be able to get to my words. Bezier handles. To be able to adjust this tween, how do I do that? A drop down is appearing, but I can't get to the actual editor. We've got tools, pixel tracker, path recorder, path manager. What do those mean? I've got research to do. Ooh. Okay, I don't know what any of that is. I don't want to get too excited before I break anything. I've got a motion tween working. That's the most important thing here. But I'm assuming everybody here is familiar with Flash or Toon Boom to some extent. So this is where you may cringe a little bit, but trust me here. Like once you get used to it, I'm sure it's fine. I also am not used to it yet, but I'm trying to embrace it. So this is what happens when you press Apply Effect Stack. It's now all in there, and as far as I know, so. Wait, what just happened? I don't know what I did. What was meant to happen is the tween would become baked, and then it would just be the artwork sitting there on every frame. But it actually moved it in a completely different way, which I don't yet understand. So that's a mystery for another day, because it's been more than half an hour, and I've got to go already. That was quick, wasn't it? Sorry. But if I didn't bore you, and if you did enjoy it, hanging out, at least somewhat, I know I did, just come back tomorrow, and we'll do some more. If you want me to just keep doing this, or have more an event, let me know. Oh, by the way, another thing I want to get your thoughts on, have a think about it over the next day before I go, is I want to do a group animation challenge. Like a, not really a competition, but, you know, like a loop-de-loop or Animathly little thing. Like, we pick a theme, we animate something in 30 minutes. Like, really quick and nasty thing, but we do it all together live. I think that could be a lot of fun. Maybe we should even consider setting up like a Discord or something so we can actually keep each other's progress. And I can bring up thumbnails of different people working while I'm working. And yeah, just animate something. Okay, cool. Amado Krillo, you're keen. Okay, so if I've got at least 1 or 2 people interested, that's all I need. It doesn't need to be many. As long as I've got at least 1 other person who's like guaranteed to be here, then we can do it. It'll just be embarrassing if I sort of rock up being like, let's do a drool, and then no one's here. That would be sad. So you don't have to commit to it, but Armadillo, Krillo, and Experimenter, and Bowman Ruto. All right, 3 other people. I'm excited. All right. Nuts to everything else. Let's do this tomorrow. Would you be available tomorrow? At this same time. So the time I started, so about half an hour ago. Would you be available? I guess have a think on it. Maybe tweet at me if you are or not. But I gotta go now. Thanks for coming by. See ya.